when you come into Iraq, it's like a Casa Bird, one of those crappy little cargo planes. And instead of landing like normal, and dude, I went in during the ground offensive. Like, that was a nasty, nasty plane ride in the C-130. No, I think we were in a C-17. But it's like kind of nape of the earth, moving up and down. So the Casa Bird just goes up and it stays, and it's nice and comfortable. I got my laptop on my lap. I'm playing Minesweeper, which still don't know how to play Minesweeper, but you just keep, pushing it. My computer lifts off my lap, and I'm like, something's going on. Like, we're dead. Yeah. Like, we are going down. Fast. And then I didn't have a seatbelt on, nothing. Like, there was no reason to have it. So the Blackwater guys that flew this thing thought that it was great fun to essentially do this every time. So you come in and they just start corkscrewing in as fast and as violently as possible. Damn. And I'm just thinking, dude, we're going down. Like, I'm not even going to have the cool story or the $500.
Yeah.
Like, this is a bummer. Yeah. I'm like praying. I'm like, okay, I'm sorry. Like, everything goes through my head in that split second. And then you start leveling off, and they put the back hatch down, the cargo hatch. This guy walks to the back with a 249, like lanyards himself in, sits on the back with his legs off the edge, like he's just swinging on a swing set. And I was like, dude, what the fuck did I get myself into? Like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
And everybody else had the same look, right? Like, you look around, and we're like the dogs that get in trouble. They ate all their food. We're like, what the hell? So we finally level off, we land, we take all of our kit out there, and we put it in this big pile, and they pull up in those shitty, like, SUV Peugeots, like, no armor, no nothing, just absolute trash. Oh, and a bongo truck to throw all your shit in. So you're in no armor. They give you an M4, a single magazine of ammunition. They're like, hey, we're going to go start bonsaiing down the most bombed route in Iraq, Route Irish, from the airport over to the green zone. And I was like, this is going well. This is really turning out exactly how I thought it would. Yeah. And with no armor, they'd be like, yeah, well, they had welded some plates around it. And then they were like, there's a plate down there by your thigh. So, like, if we get in the shit, you can pick the plate up and, like, hold it up towards the window. I'm like, you got to be shit. Like, I'm not a smart guy, but even I know that that's not, even if it does stop something, the plate's going to hit me in the face. I'm going to be rendered unconscious, and then I'm going to be the guy on TV getting his head chopped off with a goddamn knife.
Hung from a fucking bridge.
Yeah. And then also, I mean, it's like, keep your head on a swivel. So we're driving down Irish, and I don't even know what the hell I'm looking for. And so it's just, you're just looking around, like, your head's out the window, have no idea what's going on. I'm like, is that a threat? Is that a... And then you get into Baghdad, and it's just like, I don't know, like it just all kind of settles down at the green zone. Go into the team house that we had, there's beers in the fridge, like everything. Like, those guys had been there maybe 2-3 weeks ahead of me, but you could just tell that, like, everything had calmed down.
Yeah.
Which is crazy, because like 2-3 weeks later, I'm picking up my buddy Tony, and I'm like the same way, because they had him in the back of the bongo truck with all the stuff, and he like made a little nest. Yeah. And he's got like a 249, and he's all over the place. And I was like, oh, I remember what that feels like. That does suck, doesn't it? Yeah.
So what did they have you do then, if it wasn't what you thought it was going to be? Like, what were the first things that you did for them actually outside the wire and in the protective capacity?
I think it's like everything else. Like, you build up what it's going to be in your head, and then on the ground, it's not quite the same way, right? So we definitely did, like, diplomatic security. First thing you do is we stood up new teams. These guys had been on ground for like 2 to 3 weeks, and they were like trying to tell us how everything was. Oh, this is it. And it's like, looking back, it's like these guys didn't have any clue what they were doing either. But hey, they knew better than we did. So we stood up a team. It was called Templar 12. So it was like Templar 2, 4, 6. I'm not a mathematician, but it was like the 6 team stood up. And we got hooked into the Regime Crimes Liaison Office. So, like, this is a pretty cool thing. They did all the evidence gathering for Saddam Hussein. So we got to go from, like, the Green Zone up to JSS Justice, which is where they had all their HVIs, the deck of cards. That's where those dudes were. Saddam Hussein was over at BIOP, which we had no idea at the time. But we would grab evidence, we drive it up to JSS Justice, we take it over to the courts for, like, the trials and stuff. And it was just like, you're protecting dudes that are actually doing something that you feel is part of the war effort, or
Yeah.
driving people around for the first election that they had for the interim government. And you're driving around and everybody's got their blue finger, which I was pretty sure is because they ate a bunch of blueberries scratching their ass. Because like it didn't even occur to me that they wouldn't have like a national registration for voters, right? Yeah. Like you have no idea how far back you're going when you go to these countries. Yeah. Like the stuff that we were doing in the 80s in the U.S., these guys aren't even there yet.
Yeah,
doesn't even occur to me. So taking around diplomats, they're getting their pictures taken. They're talking to Fox News because of the elections and stuff. And you feel like, yeah, I'm really doing something. I'm helping the war effort. And then slowly start kind of realizing like, I don't really know that we're helping a whole lot here.
Yeah.
So at that point, it really depended. The mission was dictated on like how often people wanted to move, right? So we went up to northern Iraq. We were supposed to be, it's like goddamn Gilligan's Island, dude. We were supposed to be there for 3 days. We were there for like 2.5 months before everybody was like, I'm still wearing the same pair of underpants. Like, can we at least go back and get our shit?
Yeah.
But like interestingly, the Battle of Fallujah, right? There was the first one where the contractors got hanged. We started going into Fallujah and then we stopped. And then there was the second one, that was October of 2004, where we're going back into Fallujah. So what happened was we couldn't really go back and forth from northern Iraq because all the air assets were supporting the Fallujah ground offensive of the Marines going in there. So it's interesting in that like something that happens as a civilian contractor had that much of an effect on foreign policy and war policy within Iraq itself.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah. I mean, the moving parts too that were involved are pretty absurd too. I am curious, when was the first time that when you were outside of the green zone that shit went sideways and you were like, holy fuck?
I didn't even have to get outside of the green zone.
Yeah.
Because there's that river right on the other side of the green zone, and these guys would like take their bongo trucks. They would set up their mortars and their rockets in the back of it, and they would fire it every morning, every evening, like clockwork. And then they'd be gone before the military could get air assets up to track them. So they put us in this big circus tent, and we're hanging out, and the rocket hits. I think it's like day 2. The rocket hits day 2 or day 3, and it's pretty close. And it's like, that's not a big deal. This happened a couple days ago. And then the next one hits. It's closer. Everybody sits up in their beds, kind of looks around. And it's like, I don't want to be the first pussy to run out. I just can't be that guy. I just need that guy to go, but like I can't be him. So the third one hits, and it is like close enough, shake your guts, like shake the tent, and everybody's like waiting for that first person. And thank God he stood up and ran out. And then we all were like, pussy. And then we ran right after him, right? And went and hung out in the little bunker area, smoking cigarettes until like the all clear came out. And I was like, holy shit, like this is actually real.
Yeah.